So previously I was talking about, did a short walkthrough of my website. Now I would like to jump into the code. So I started working on this maybe like early September, mid-September. And then on my first try on the app, this is what the app initially looked like. React chess player npm start. So initially, it's been 5 to 6 years since I've done something. Like this. My previous projects were mostly just poker related. So a lot of it was just scraping data off poker websites and then converting them into poker into formats recognizable by major poker databases such as Poker Tracker 4 and Hold'em Manager. So on my first try, my app was rather very it wasn't pretty, let's just say that. And then what you would do here is you would search a player. You would just search a player, and then the app would just fetch the game only for that present month. So if I looked up a player, say, since he's been the talk of town, Hans on Twitch. Okay, he's played no games, so let's just look for myself. So it would just display the games I played in October. It's hardwired to September. So you would just get a list here, and then you have this Bootstrap version, and then you have row 1 with the search bar, and this is like column 8, this is column 4, and then if you were to click on a game, it would just show you this, and then this is what the data looks like from chess.com. So this is the unformatted JSON object that chess.com spits out. So this was my first try, and then this took me only a few days to finish. So a lot of it was just hardwiring chess.js with or integrating chess.js, which contains a chess object, which contains all the moves and logic. And then React Chessboard, which is a React library, which allows you to display the moves of a chess game. So yeah, the two of those, they are very easy. They're very connected. So it's easy they're easy to configure, since I think they're meant to. Yeah, they're meant to be used together in a lot of situations. And then initially, I couldn't get this scroll bar to scroll to that point as well. And then what I ended up using is using a reference. Okay, so back to my app. So this inspired me to make a more prettier and user-friendly application that allows you to fetch every game, or to fetch every month. So okay, let's go to the code. So I started this app by just calling npx create react app, and then that created a boilerplate for me to use. And then once I got the boilerplate, I just rendered the app in index.js. And then in my app component, so this is another big thing that I would like to use in future projects as well as future features in my app. Everything currently in my app are class-based. So when I was learning coding back in 2015, 2016, React back then was all class-based, and then every function we had this like and then it was through a life cycle, or React class base relied on this life cycle. Relied on class cycles, and the class cycles consists of component.mount, which runs on render on the first instance of the render, and then component.update, which detects any state changes made on the app. And there's a third one called component will unmount, which is triggered once you leave the application, or once you leave that component. And then I've in the beginning I was carefully detailing what my app does, and I've put a lot of details into the process of my code, so that it's modularized and readable. So in case someone wants to further work on this, they're able to hopefully be able to read through the documentations and trails I've left. But as I got to everything here was well thought out, but once I got into the board wrapper, this is where everything becomes it's I didn't really want to create different components for every little thing, and then this file just became a huge file with no documentations, and and it's also very unorganized, and all the logic between the rendering, the view, and the logic. So I guess in that case it would be the model, I guess, or the logic, all of it's kind of intertwined. Whereas in the beginning, I had this more separate of concerns approach. But as I got further and further, I felt like I was making progress. So I just wanted to just jam code instead of just taking the slow and responsible approach, more modularized approach. Okay. So first off, let's start off with the router, actually. So I used React Router 6, and then I was having a hard time understanding it because I read through the docs and it seems like every version there's some major change made. I remember I had to invoke it calling browser router, and then I think in just the version before it was something different. Maybe not the version before, but several versions before it was called something different. But it seems to break every so often. And then the one thing I had a huge issue with was the Navbar. So let's start off with the Navbar. So I integrated Bootstrap with Navbar, but when I throw in Navlink, which is a React Router DOM version 6 component, it does become a little glitchy, especially for the index page. So let's say I get rid of this. This was a little hack. So let's say I just keep this, which is what Bootstrap 5 tells you to use. If I just do this, there's this bug. Why is the bug not there? Oh, it's because I'm not. So, okay, let's just npm. Let's just go on the development mode. So if I were to look at my navbar now, it will always be active. And then I think in their app they say to type exact here, or in their documentations it says to type exact here, and then in the route it tells you to type exact. It tells you to type exact here, but it still shows this. But maybe this has something to do with, I don't know, I don't know why this is. Maybe it's because there are some environmental issues. I don't know, but so instead of spending too much time trying to figure out why, I just went ahead and added this hack where I say, if the location's path name is slash, and location is a use router component, then yeah, if it's slash, then don't have it have a nav link. Otherwise, do have it have a nav link. And then like I tried to implement the logic in class name, but it seems to just automatically insert itself. So I had like this was just a very odd way of doing this, but it got the trick done. And then another issue I had was that React Router 6 isn't fully compatible with class components. So I looked up Stack. So this is something I got from Stack Overflow. What it says is you need to create an outer router as a function, and then it basically becomes a wrapper. And then I would import that wrapper into my app.js and then wrap it around that wrapper. And now once that is done, this .props will consist of these two props, or will consist of these two components that React Router DOM uses. So that was something that was also inconvenient. And I think in the future, I'm just gonna start using functional components instead of class components, so that I don't have to deal with these backward incompatible issues. So yeah, my navbar is just something. I just took this off Bootstrap, threw in nav links, and then yeah, everything is working except for the index page. So I had to manually change the index, manually make an exception for the index page. Since this is a stateless component, maybe I can like turn this into a functional component just for practice. And then next we have the sidebar, which is basically the same thing as the navbar. The only difference is I created this get name toggler. So here, like whichever you click, you get a different name. And then yeah, on click you toggle. What is no, sorry. The on toggle is to allow you to toggle the sidebar. So if you were on a mobile phone and you would like to collapse the sidebar, you would just click this arrow button, which uses React icons font awesome, and then it would toggle the sidebar. And then on click, you would get the header of the path that you're on. So again, this uses I think this is use router. It's use router from React Router DOM, or it's use router. And then when you click on a link, it uses the use navigate function. Use navigate, yeah. Is it function, or is this component? I would say it's more of a function. Okay, so now let's go on to the entry point of. Oh, one last thing is in the app. So we have the navbar, we have the sidebar, and then one more thing we have is the error messages, error log. So if you were to create a if you were to like try to break the website or perform an action that's not possible, you get this error message. So let's just check out that component quickly. So basically what it is it would fetch whatever the error is, or whenever an error occurs, this handle error handler would be invoked, and then this would stop the fetcher, and then it would set the error message to that message. Yeah. So now let's go into the entry point, which is the handle user search. So let's go into that component. So this is also isn't really like, these are 3 different components with 3 different like instead of organizing my folder in a logical way, I just decided to put all the bars together, even though they're not the same component. They're more of like sibling components. They're not like this component depends on the other. But so I don't know. I thought it looked nice. But as I build more features, I think I'm gonna create a separate component for each one. Whereas right now I'm just lumping them all into one. So that might be a little confusing for a future developer to expand on, because I think most people wouldn't put all their files. If they're sibling files, they wouldn't lump them together. But I think since they share the same last name, I just decided to put them in there. So when you search a user, JSX, when you search a user, what happens is, let me just collapse this. What happens is, yeah, you have 4 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4. You have this from button, this to button, the search bar, the input bar, and then the search bar. You know what? I think this is best explained in chunks. So I'm gonna stop the video here and then explain this. So instead of just going on a long time explaining everything, I'm gonna break it down into different parts. So I will see you then.